Joining us now in our San Francisco bureau is pirate radio station operator for Radio Free Berkeley, Stephen Dunifer. Mr. Dunifer recently won a victory against the FCC when a federal judge refused an injunction by the commission to shut down his pirate radio station. And in Boston, we're joined by the Vice President for the Talk America Radio Network, Tom Starr. Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming. Stephen Dunifer, let me go to you first. Why is it so important to operate your station in defiance of the FCC?
It's important because it's a First Amendment issue that we're fighting here. The FCC has created such high barriers of entry that only the rich and well-endowed can have a voice in this country now. And what we're seeking to do is establish some alternative to that would allow every community to have its own voice through inexpensive, low-cost, low-power FM stations that can easily be put together and can meet all the basic technical requirements mandated by the FCC. We're just basically seeking a bill that the citizen and the community can have access to what is theirs, the airwaves.
Now, Tom Starr, what's wrong with what Mr. Dunifer is doing?
Well, first of all, I dispute that what's going on in the country is that cannot buy a radio station if you're not part of the rich and famous, because I know many radio station owners that have radio stations and don't have a lot of money. We're able to go to a bank and borrow the money and be able to put on a facility, not maybe as elaborate as some of the other major radio stations, but more importantly, what we have to be concerned about is who's going to take care of making sure that signals don't get blocked by those radio stations that are legal. And I think also we have to make sure that we don't have radio stations being taken over by people who are going to hurt us as free Americans. And I think that is a very important issue.
Wait a minute. Excuse me, Mr. Starr. How can free speech hurt us as Americans, free speech on the airwaves?
Well, one problem that I can foresee at this moment is that if you have one radio station, you can have hundreds of radio stations all across the country. And if you want to, you could provide the same programming from one location and do it by satellite. You could, if you wanted to, you could start a riot. You could even start what the Sandinistas did in Nicaragua.
Explain what you mean, what the Sandinistas did in Nicaragua. Again, the airwaves, how are they in defiance of our First Amendment rights?
Because if you have a license and you're able to do the work that you portray that you're going to do, at least you have certain requirements you have to meet. You can say what you want, you can do what you want, but there are rules and regulations that keep you to say, you know, everybody go march on the Capitol and go burn down a building or whatever it might be. You can't do that if you own a radio station from the FCC rules and regulations.
Okay, well, we're going to get into
whatever you want.
We're going to get into political implications in just a second, but Mr. Dunifer, is there any way you can operate these small radio outlets without interfering with other radio waves?
Yes, it's done every day. And what we really are seeking is some accommodation. We're not saying that everyone has just the right to go willy-nilly throw up a station, but it's kind of a forced situation because FCC does not have any procedure in place that broadcast stations with 100 watts or less of power. You have to do a minimum 100 watts. And I would also really...
Just to put this in perspective, some of the wattage that you're talking about is anywhere from a half a watt to 30 watts. So you're talking about a much lower wattage. I'm sorry, gentlemen, we have to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to continue our discussion over the right to broadcast freely. Stay tuned.